Hi, I'm going to show you what I consider to be the best technique to use for creating a liquid taper. The liquid taper you'll be tapering from, in this case, a benzodiazepine. The benzodiazepine that the wonderful medical profession hooked me on is diazepam, that's the generic name for it, Valium being the brand name for it. And the philosophy behind a liquid titration is that instead of making cuts in a pill, the only way that we had before, thanks to Professor Ashton, is to remove infinitely small amounts of the diazepam or whatever benzo you're using on a daily basis, so that you're actually tricking your brain into not noticing that more and more benzodiazepine is being removed from your brain. And this creates less of a problem with withdrawal. You may get some withdrawal problems ultimately, but then you're going to stop. But to demonstrate this very simply, I try to get as lazy as possible. Since I'm already well into my withdrawal, my taper program, we all will be using a jar or jars if you have to dose several times a day. In my case, I dose once a day. In order for me to perform what I need to do is I fill this jar with 234 milliliters of water. Now I used to do that the long way by taking a 60 milliliter tube, filling it up 3 times, and then taking a 20 milliliter tube, filling that up 2.5 times. And that got to be a real bear, so I got smart very quickly, filled it up, put a line at the 234 milliliter level, washed it all out, put it in again, put another line in it, 180 degrees opposite it, turned it out, filled it up again using the syringes, and making sure the third time that the level hit both lines. It does. When I did that, you'll notice some wrinkles in here. The first thing I did was tape it with clear wrapping tape right around, and then I overlapped each one. So there are some wrinkles in it, but they're all in the second and third layer. The first layer is flat against it, so I can wash this without worrying about removing the marks. So then the first thing I do, excuse my technique here, is to fill this up as close as possible to the line, but not going over it. Then I simply take a 20 milliliter syringe, get down close to it, or in this case hold it up, until I get exactly the level that is needed. In this case, a little bit more. And I check it against the other line, and I've got exactly 234 milliliters of water. Now, I simply have to add the diazepam. I forget what this lid is called, but you'll have to ask your pharmacist for it. Usually, when they send you the bottle, they don't send you this kind of lid. So you're going to have to ask the pharmacist for the lid to use with a syringe. Syringe goes in, bottle is inverted. In my case, I need 6 milliliters of liquid diazepam. I always take it a little bit over, make sure there's no air in it, put it back, and then just because I'm really careful about making sure that I've got precisely the correct amount, I use this light. And by the way, you can go online and find pictures which will show you exactly how to measure the amount you're using against the bottom level of the plunger. I do this just for good measure. Shake it all around. And now, in order for me to get to 5.7125, I'll remove 11.5 milliliters of this mix, which will be a very, very tiny amount of diazepam. So I want to remove 11.5. I go back, I put a little mark on this to remember that I use this syringe when I'm dealing with diazepam or this, which I call the elixir. So first of all, off comes 11. Pretty easy to see. Put it in the discard bowl. This is not good enough to measure at the half milliliter measurement. However, either the 1 milliliter or I use a 3 milliliter syringe to get down to that half milliliter level very slowly. That's it. I've removed the 11.5 milliliters. When this is consumed, I will actually be consuming 5.7125 milliliters of Valium. Last night I consumed 5.27250. So you can see that's a very tiny amount. So that's it. One other thing you may want to do, and this comes from the Ashton manual if you're using some other benzodiazepine and don't want to melt the pills, Professor Ashton has a crossover table which shows you how many milliliters of Valium would be equivalent to X milligrams, actually, X milligrams of, for example, Klonopin, Xanax, or whatever other benzodiazepine you might be on. Thank you.